Do you know who these people are? Do not let these friendly faces fool you. These two were communist leaders that were the masterminds behind destruction and killings of millions of people. Ho Chi Minh was the leader of the communist group known as Viet Cong in North Vietnam. During the 1960s and 70s, the U.S. involvement with the fight against the Viet Cong was considered an unpopular war by many Americans. The Northern Vietnamese army was calculated to have killed an estimate of 7.5 million people. During the same time period, Pol Pot led the communist group known as Khmer Rouge in Cambodia. The involvement that the U.S. had with Cambodia was the U.S. secret bombings, which included 2 million tons of explosives targeting areas on the Cambodia and Vietnam border. The U.S. goal was to bomb the bases of the Viet Cong and their supply trail. But this resulted in 2 deaths of innocent civilians. This included men, women, and children.
We couldn't understand why there were so many civilian casualties in this war. Why were they hitting all these civilians in villages? It was every nightmare of how you fight a war.
From 1969 to 1973, more than 500,000 Cambodians died. By 1974, the bombing had disrupted the nation's agricultural system and a famine ensued. Over 2 million refugees poured into overcrowded cities.
American policy in those years towards Cambodia helped create the conditions, perhaps the only conditions, in which the Khmer Rouge came to power.
Both communist parties killed anyone who posed a threat to their power. Anyone who displayed intelligence such as government workers, teachers, monks, etc. were easily killed. Even if someone looked smart, they were killed. People were killed in front of their family members. Many were forced into agricultural work and starved. Women were beaten. Kids were separated from their families. The U.S. sponsored hundreds of thousands of refugees affected by the war to settle in America. Justin's family and my family were one of many Vietnamese and Cambodian families that came to the U.S. because of the war. But life wasn't easy at first for many immigrants. Many were struggling with PTSD from the war. There was language barriers which made it harder to get good jobs. Most immigrants found blue-collar jobs or relied on government assistance. Immigrant families had little or no money, so they had to stay in neighborhoods of poverty, making them susceptible to crime, gangs, and racism. California has the highest population of Vietnamese and Cambodians. There are towns known as Little Saigon, which is in Orange County, where hundreds of thousands of Vietnamese reside. Cambodia Town is located minutes away from Cal State Long Beach, where it resides the largest population of Cambodians in the U.S. Within these towns are a richness of culture they brought from their home country. It is filled with delicious food and beautiful traditions. But sadly, in today's generation, many immigrants that escaped their homeland that was once filled with bloodshed and genocide are faced with the issue of deportation. It is unsurprising that President Trump's campaign to get rid of criminals in the U.S. and reinforce stricter immigration policies. Vietnamese and Cambodians who were convicted of a crime, whether it was old or recent, minor or serious, are being detained by the Immigration and Customs Enforcement and deported. Many detainees have been in America almost their whole lives and started their own families. Like this Vietnamese mother of 4, was convicted of drug possessions, now faces being away from her kids forever. Another, Cambodian refugee Touch Hack, donated his kidneys that saved 3 lives but faced deportation for selling ecstasy back in 2004. They know nothing about their home country and are stripped away from their loved ones. Despite already serving their time for their mistakes, refugees that established legal residency still face deportation. How can we solve this issue? We can begin with having a strong advocate for our country that does not view immigrants who's made mistakes as bad people. We've all made mistakes. but it shouldn't define who we are. Amending the repatriation agreement so that it does not violate human rights can also help. People aren't perfect, and everyone deserves another chance.